Plaintiff Kenyatta Carpenter claims her son's best friend stole her son's car and destroyed it in a high-speed crash. She's suing for $3,000 for damages. Defendant Miles Hurst claims he had permission to drive the car and that faulty brakes led to the crash.
It's case number 202 on the docket. Carpenter versus Hurst.
Okay, and welcome to you three. We have the plaintiff, Ms. Carpenter.
Yes.
And this is your son?
Yes.
And you are here because you are suing Mr. Miles Hurst for car damages after you're saying he stole your son's car and crashed it.
Yes. On New Year's Eve, Miles, the car thief, he stole my son's car and wrecked it. And he also wrecked his car and hit two other parked cars as well.
Yeah, I went over to his house and we recorded some music and then...
so you went over to his house?
Yes, sir. Yeah. And then about probably 1 o'clock, I fell asleep.
Yeah, because you'd been up
Yeah,
at
I've been up. I've been up, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up to a phone call, and they were saying that my car was in an accident. I'm like checking around, and I don't see my keys nowhere. So I'm like, where's my car? And I figured Miles stole the car, so...
Well, took the car.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear your side of the story.
Your Honor, this was a complete accident. I had permission to take Juan's car.
Did you ask him if he could take his car?
Okay, so I nudged him. He made...
this is when he's sleeping?
Yeah.
Okay,
you
nudged him?
Sleeping. I nudged him. He gave me a little, like a little noise. I took that as a yes.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
At this point...
Okay.
I asked.
Okay, if you could just give me an example of an that is yes and an that is no. I want to hear what the two sound like.
So
what's a yes sound like?
A yes is, like, I don't...
And what does a no sound like? Because maybe the nudge was a no.
A no could, I don't know.
Yeah, so you just heard a sound. You took the sound as a yes.
I asked a question and he responded. I took that as a yes.
Okay.
And I'm at work, so he give me a call, and I'm like, I can hear it in his voice that something had happened.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Juan, just tell me what's going on. So he like, Miles stole my car and he crashed it and hit two parked cars. So I'm like, what do you mean he stole your car? Like, once you at his house, what's going on? Now this New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And all this happening.
And I got a lift to the scene.
Right.
So once I got a lift to the scene, the officers showed me like some marks in the ground, indicated that he was speeding. And he was trying to turn a corner in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And he hit two cars like straight on, trying to turn to a right, trying to make a right turn.
Yeah. Reason B for me taking the car was I had got a phone call regarding one of my other artists, and he wanted me to send him some beats.
Yeah.
At the time, I did not have Wi-Fi in my house, so I wanted to go to the library up the street to go send the emails. So I get the keys, and my friend and I leave.
And you drive that car up to the library?
The library, boom.
Yes.
As I'm driving the car, I already can sense in the brakes that they were a little faulty. So...
Wow, that's a
we
lot.
get ready to drop my friend off.
Yes.
At his home, which is like 5 minutes from the library.
Yeah, so you drove there.
I'm familiar with the area because I used to live there.
Yeah.
So I know how this is set up. There's a straightaway right before you get to his little building or whatnot.
Yeah.
There's even a speed bump before the turn.
Yeah.
So right before the turn, I slam on brakes. I turn the wheel all the way to the right, and the car starts sliding. We slide a good 10 yards before we hit the other two cars.
Yeah.
And from this point, my friend hops out and starts running. And I'm just sitting there like, no, we cannot run.
Well, that was a good decision.
Yeah.
You're not running, okay.
This shocked me because when he arrived, they just stopped talking to me completely.
Yeah.
They just, I literally walked away. 15 minutes later, no ticket, no paper, nothing. So I'm like...
Do you have a police report?
Yes, I have a police report and pictures.
If I could take a look at that, please.
Of the damage.
This is the damage to what, your car?
Yes.
And it looks like the airbags were released?
Yes, so basically the car was totaled.
Okay, let me read the police report. Vehicle 1 struck Vehicle 2, that's the car that was parked in the back bumper. Then front bumper struck Vehicle 3, that's the other parked car. Vehicle 1 sustained disabling damage, that's the car you were driving, to its front bumper. Vehicle 2 sustained moderate damage. Vehicle 3 sustained disabling damage. Vehicle 1 airbags were deployed after the collision, but in no place does it say what the speed was.
That was what the police officer told me.
Oh, that's what he told you, but it's not in the report.
Yeah, he showed me 2 skid marks on the
But
ground.
clearly, the car he was driving was your car, and it hit these 2 parked cars, sustaining the damage that you're indicating by these
Yes.
pictures, and you'll give me some report on what the cost of those damages are. That's what you're trying to recover.
Yes.
So you can pay to have it fixed. So there's about, just in these 2, $6,000 worth of damage. Okay.
I feel I do
So
not.
what'd you do with the car then?
With the car?
was left
that you
there.
were driving in.
Okay, so it was left there. In my opinion, there's not $3,000 worth of damage.
Okay, we'll
the
get
car.
to that later.
Wow.
But
Okay.
you hit the 2 cars.
Yeah.
No dispute with that. You got out of the car. Your friend ran. You stayed. The police came. They talked to you.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Okay.
You get back in the car?
No, okay, so I'm sitting here.
Who took the car back?
Okay, so the tow
got
truck,
towed.
the tow truck driver, he gets in the car and he drives it onto the
Tow
truck.
Yeah.
And Quan hops in the passenger side and they just leave. The police said nothing to me.
Okay. The one part is irrelevant to the case. Whether or not he stole it or what that meant.
Right.
Okay? It doesn't much matter because even if he gave you permission to drive it, you were driving it. So that doesn't have anything to do with the liability in terms of who caused the accident. I'm going to say that the accident was not caused by the 2 parked cars. Okay. So now, call me crazy. So now the question is, your defense is, yes, I was driving the car, I made a quick turn, but the brakes didn't work properly. That's your defense.
Also, I don't know, my memory is not 100% on it, but I don't know the condition of the tires. Like
Those tires
were brand new.
They were because he actually paid. It has rims on the tires.
Yeah.
So he paid for rim tires. So
Yeah.
those tires was brand new.
Okay.
And then also too, like it caused him to lose a job. Like he had a job offer that next week,
For a
and it
delivery
was
driver.
a delivery job. So he couldn't even take the job because he didn't have a car.
He doesn't have a car. Okay, I got it all. But here's why I'm reaching the conclusion that I am going to reach it. Whatever you thought the brakes were, they certainly were good enough for Quan to drive the car over to your house. And when he came to your house, he didn't crash into your house. He stopped the car. The brakes must have worked.
of course.
Then you went to the library, but you didn't crash into the library. The brakes worked. In other words, the brakes were working. They may not have been the best brakes in the world, but the truth is, particularly if there was a speed bump, you must have been going at some speed afterwards so that you couldn't make that turn, which you admit you lived in the neighborhood, you knew where the turn was. You were driving his car. You believed you had the right to drive it, but that's not the issue. Friends, one friend used the other friend's car. What happened is you got in an accident. You're liable. You're the only one that was driving it. And there's not sufficient evidence that this car was out of control, and my gosh, the best driver in the world couldn't have stopped it. So you are responsible for the accident, and I looked at the damages, and the damages to that vehicle add up, in fact, to even more than $3,000, but you sued for $3,000, so I fined for the plaintiff in the sum of $3,000.
In the future, I don't know if we'll be friends again because like that was a trust. Like, I trust him for me to be able to fall asleep at his house, but clearly I can't trust nobody like that no more.
For his next car, he better make sure that he do not fall asleep at nobody else's house.
I guess it's acceptable. I did crash the car, so I mean, it is what it is. It was an accident at most, but everything was, it's all right.
Hey YouTube, check out my new show, Judge Jerry. Now for sneak preview and behind the scenes footage, subscribe to my channel now.